Boom, 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 boom. All right, all right. Here we go. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Shoot the Hoot RAW. I'm Chuck Taylor, the chief go-getter and co-founder here at CyberHoot. Today, we're tackling one of the biggest myths in cybersecurity, that your users on their own can stop every threat. Now, don't get me wrong, training matters. But when Carl is your front line of defense, you're one click away from chaos. That's why today's episode is called Beyond the Human Firewall, because real resilience comes from stacking up the right people, process, and tools. Oh, and yes, we'll show you how CyberHoot's vCISO services fit in too. So let's dive in. Here's what we've got on deck for today's flight. First up, we're kicking things off with a 5-minute rant about the myth of the human firewall and what it really means to layer up your defenses. Then it's time for our CyberHoot Nerd Update. No code shipped this week. But we've got features brewing that you're gonna love. Gonna love, love, love. After that, the mic's all yours. We're going open mic, answering your questions live and unscripted. And finally, we'll close with a hoot-worthy horror story about a company that trained their team but forgot to build the stack. It's raw, it's real, and it might just save you or Carl from disaster. So let's go. You've heard it before. Our users are our human firewall. And sure, users do play a big role, but let's get honest. They're juggling Slack messages, Zoom fatigue, fantasy football drafts, and Carl's birthday cupcakes. They're not InfoSec pros. They're tired, distracted, human. Puny human. We're human. In fact, 88% of data breaches involve human error. That's not just a click here problem. That's a stack problem. The human firewall isn't failing. It's just overloaded and under-supported. So let's stop pretending our people can do it all. Let's start talking about how to layer them up with smart tech, smart process, and a little vCISO backup. So if users aren't the problem, why do they keep clicking the wrong thing? Let's look at where users actually fail and why it's not their fault most of the time. Let's be honest. Users fail all the time. They click links, they open shady PDFs, and Carl still thinks 12345 is a fortress of a password. But here's the thing. It's not because they don't care. It's because people are drowning in click fatigue, alert burnout, and to-do list that's longer than your MSA. According to Proofpoint, 1 in every 7 employees clicked the phishing link in 2023, even after their training. Why? Because people are human. They're busy. They're not InfoSec pros. Give them a little bit of a break. So instead of blaming users for being human, back them up. Equip them with smarter tools. Build process that makes the secure way the easy way. That's what layer security is all about. Let me show you how that works. You have just one layer? Well, that's better than nothing. But real security comes from stacking, like digital lasagna, but with fewer carbs. Yes, training matters, but so does MFA, DNS filtering, patch management, phishing simulations, policies, EDR. Think of it this way. Training stops the click, 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 click. MFA stops the stolen credentials. Patching stops the 0 days, and phishing test builds awareness. Each layer catches the last one that was missed. And together, they absorb risk before it hits your business. Let's stack it up and show you what resilience really looks like. So, you're sold on layers. Who's got time to manage all that? It's a lot of work. That's where CyberHoot and our vCISO services come in. We don't just hand you the tools and walk away. Nope. We help you build the stack, automate the boring parts, and guide the strategy like a true co-pilot. You need policies? We got them. How about simulations? Automated. Need a roadmap for compliance, risk assessments, or an audit that's suddenly this Friday? Our vCISO team steps in. MSPs use us to scale, not just secure. Because cyber isn't just about coverage, it's about confidence. So yeah, we help you build the stack and back you up with strategy. But what makes it all work? The people. Because when you power up your team with the right tools, training, and automation, everything else falls into place. Let me show you how CyberHoot strengthens the people layer and every layer around it. So security starts with people, but let's be honest, people are busy. That's why CyberHoot makes the people layer actually work. Phishing simulations that teach without shame. Bite-sized video training, even Carlton finish. Policy automation that does the nagging for you. But we don't stop at people. With our vCISO services, we help you map out your full security stack, tackle what matters most in the right order. Because you're not flying solo. You've got tools, you've got strategy, you've got CyberHoot, your co-pilot right next to you. So what happens when you combine people-first training, smart automation, expert guidance, and just a sprinkle of Hoot-powered magic? You don't just build compliance, you build resilience. And here's how CyberHoot stacks it all together. It helps you sleep better at night. When you combine education, automation, layering, and expert guidance, you don't just build a smarter business, you build one that can take a hit and keep hooting. With CyberHoot, you get people-first training that even Carl can enjoy. Automated policy enforcement, because no one wants to chase down signatures. Phishing simulations that teach without punishment. And vCISO strategy that turns confusion into clarity. Fun fact, companies with automated training and testing reduce phishing click rates by up to 67%. So go ahead, train the people, secure the stack, and then feel like an owl and melatonin tonight. That's what CyberHoot does. And now, let's see what our devs have been cooking up behind the scenes. Well, first, boom, we've got our Hoot coupon alert. The first person to email Shoot the Hoot at cyberhoot.com with the code HumanFirewall10 gets 10% off their next invoice. So open that email client, click send, and get that 10. I know what you might be thinking, but Chuck, I'm watching this 2 days later. Someone's probably already done this by now. Maybe so, maybe not. I would say send it in anyway. I'll tell you better luck next time, right? Send it in anyway, because some people watch this. Most people watch this 2, 3, 4 days later. So send in that email. Shoot it at cyberhoot.com, HumanFirewall10, get 10% off your next invoice if you're the first person. All right? All right, moving on, our nerd update. All right. So I'll tell you, but first, full transparency, right? Our DevOps took a well-earned vacation this week. No code ship, no releases deployed. I was partying up down in Myrtle Beach, trying to enjoy the time. I celebrated my 29th wedding anniversary, my 52nd birthday. So had a little bit of time away, and one of our other lead developers was off celebrating another birthday in Arizona. So we've been away. But don't worry, our brains were still hooting in the background. They're always working, whether it be on vacation, in the shower, waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, our brains are always working. So although there's no release tonight, here's what we've been working on behind the scenes and looking to deploy before 2026 comes around. First, friend requests. Users will soon be able to buddy up, view each other's stores, and climb the leaderboard together. Training just got social. Cyber's changing the culture. We want users training together. Second, program assignment for autopilot. You'll be able to create structured programs and assign them with ease. Think onboarding, quarterly compliance, or topic-specific tracks. What about product training? Check's going to be in there. We're also going to give you custom reporting expansion, where you can actually build your own reports like a wizard, filter, slice, and export exactly what you need. Another cool feature coming out, we're adding smishing updates in Hootfish. We're making our mobile-based phishing simulations available smarter and more realistic, leveraging our Hootfish technology. We're also offering white-labeled assignment emails. Soon your training emails will come from a white-labeled email address. No more from hoots@cyberhoot.com, right? It's probably something like mycybertraining.com. I'll figure it out, right? So yeah, no code drops this week, but next week, we're back to hooting at full throttle. All right, so that's what's coming down the pipeline. Now, let's shift gears from what we're building to what's on your mind. It's time for the open mic Q&A. Real questions, real talk, and yes, probably a Carl joke or two. Let's hear what you got. Now's your chance. Let's talk bundling. Let's talk layering. Let's talk about the one client who still thinks antivirus is enough. Drop your questions in the chat. I'm here to help. Want to know how to sell layered security without scaring off SMBs? Curious what to bundle at each price point? Need a tactful way to explain to clients that training alone isn't enough? Let's hoot it out. So let's see what questions we have. All right, first question. How do I convince a small business client to pay for security when they've never had a breach? Well, it's interesting when you hear never had a breach. First, when they're not aware of ever having a breach, because if someone's really good, it might be hard to detect that breach, right? So a known breach. So the answer here is you got to paint the cost of inaction, not just the benefits of taking action. You can say, imagine your client list was just leaked, or your payroll access is lost. What's the cost of that downtime? Then position your solution as assurance they can market. When you use us, you're not just safer, you're provably compliant and more trustworthy to your customers. And if they still push back, start small. Bundle training, phishing, and dark web scans. Let them see the risk first, then upsell them. I'm a big believer in giving things away for free at first for a few days, for a trial of 30 days or so, and then let them see the risk, then hit them with the upsell after that. All right, next question. How do I package vCISO services without sounding like I'm just charging for meetings? Okay, so this one, you have to focus on outcomes, not hours. Don't say, I'm going to sell you 2 hours a month. No. Position vCISO as a strategy layer, the brain of the security stack. You're helping them set policy, align to compliance, manage their vendors, and build a roadmap. Try saying, our vCISO helps you pass audits, stay compliant, and avoid breach headlines without hiring $150,000 a year a CISO. Sounds like value to me, not meetings. No brainer, right? MSPs want to build smarter stats. You just need the right tools, the right strategy, and sometimes the right cautionary tale. So let's wrap this up with one last story. A real example of what happens when a company stops at training and forgets the rest of the layers. Buckle up, it's time for this week's Hoot-worthy horror story. Okay, let me tell you a story about a company, mid-sized, fast-growing, and proud of their security awareness program. They must have been training for years. They use training software. Employees passed the quizzes. They even bragged about their 100% training compliance. But here's what they didn't have. There was no MFA. There was no endpoint protection. No backup tested in over a year. Right? That's how I feel. One Monday morning, a user got phished. They clicked a very real-looking DocuSign link, and they entered their credentials. What did the attacker do? They logged into the CEO's email. They watched. They learned. Then they launched a perfect wire transfer scam. Next thing you know, $73,000. Poof, gone. If that's not a bag over the head, punch in the face, I don't know what is. Horrible. Yeah, and I stole a little of that from the Christmas Vacation, that little quote. So this company had the awareness, but they did not have the armor, because even trained users are still human, and humans click. Now, the takeaway, train your users, yes, but layer your defenses. If you're not sure where to start, that's where a vCISO earns their feathers. So yeah, training matters, but layered defense, that's what keeps stories like that from becoming your own. And that's what we're here to do. Every week, helping you build stats that stand up and not fall over. Let's wrap this up. Thanks for joining me today for another episode of Shoot the Hoot RAW. If today's episode gave you ideas, helped you rethink your stack, or made you relive a trial-level security nightmare, we want to hear from you. Send your questions, feedback, or future topic ideas to shootthehoot@cyberhoot.com. And don't forget, we're here every week helping you laugh, learn, and level up your security game. Until next time, train the people, secure the stack, sleep better. And I'll see you next week on Shoot the Hoot RAW. Hoot on. Hoot on.